Hey, it's James here from GoodGuitarist.com, and welcome back to 30 Days of Guitar. Today is day 7, and we're going to take a little bit of a break from the actual technique and everything of guitar, and we're going to talk more about the mental game, about how to practice consistently and how to, make consistent gains without burning out and all that stuff. I feel this is one of the most important topics, especially early on, because if you're doing it right out of the gate, it's going to be so easy to snowball that momentum and to really, guitar is such an enjoyable thing, and we want to keep it that way. So what I want to talk about today is something I call the STAIR method. It's really simple. STAIR, S-T-A-I-R. Every letter stands for a different thing, and this is what we're going to use to kind of guide our practice. And before we talk about the STAIR method, I actually want to answer a couple of questions that people have about practicing in general. The first one is, how long and how often should I practice? And when you're first getting started, I think that you can make gains in as little as 10 minutes a day, 10 to 15 minutes a day, and practicing 4 to 6 times a week. So obviously if you practice every single day, it's going to make the biggest difference. And practicing more is always better, but I don't want you to burn out, especially in the beginning phases. You don't really have that many things to practice when you're first getting started. And we're going to talk about how to break down your practice and all that in a second when we discuss the STAIR method. But, really, it doesn't take that much, but you have to be consistent. And that's the second thing, it's like, when should I practice? I think you should practice roughly the same time every day. Pick a time in your day, like maybe after work, maybe after dinner, maybe right when you wake up. That's practice time. There's no two ways around it, and you don't have to commit to this big difficult practice. All you have to commit to is pulling out your guitar, sitting down, putting the guitar in your lap. That's it. Once you're at that point, you can take it where you're going to take it. But more often than not, once you've gone through the effort of actually pulling out your guitar, you're probably going to play something on it. You're probably going to start practicing. Kind of like, when I go to the gym, I hate it, I just tell myself all I got to do is go to the gym. I don't have to actually work out or anything. I just have to get on my clothes and I have to show up. And by the time I walk through the door, I feel like working out. It's just like a little trick I play on myself, I guess. And, the same thing works with guitar. Oh, really quick, if you haven't done so, please get your free copy of my ebook. It's completely free for all my subscribers. Link in the corner. And it has everything that we're talking about, like, everything over this entire 30 days in there. So if you want printable, some reference material, please check that out. Now that we know, kind of when to practice and for how long, let's take a look at how we're going to make our practice count using the STAIR method. 5 letters, first letter is S, stands for set goals. And we want to set our big goals. This is where we figure out like our dreams. So for you at this point, it might be, I want to be able to pull out my guitar at a gathering with my friends and family, and I want to be able to play some songs that everybody knows and sing them and have a good time. And that is an awesome goal to have, right? It's really exciting to be able to do that. So we've set our big goals. We figured out some songs that we want to play, like Country Roads by John Denver or whatever you're into. And then we're going to tune up your guitar, take the time. If you tune every time you play guitar, you're going to get really fast at it. Your guitar is always going to be in tune. And it's going to sound good. You're going to develop your ear properly because you're listening to an in-tune guitar. Because when you sing, your ear compares the notes to the notes that your strings are making. And if your strings are out of tune, it's going to mess with your ear. So we tune our guitar, and then we want to activate our fingers. And I, a couple days ago, showed you this exercise where we just go like that. That's a really good way to activate your fingers, just to do a simple warm-up like that. You could do some silent switching. That's a good way to activate your fingers. Just do something to get your chord hand going. And then maybe do a little bit of strumming. You go like root, down, root, down. Something, we're just doing some mindless exercises to just get going. Nothing too strenuous on the mind or the hands, just warming up. And our next step, we're going to isolate the trouble spots. And this is the stuff that you're actually going to be practicing, So, for instance, we did Eleanor Rigby the other day, and that verse had that one measure where we went C for 2 beats and then E minor for 2 beats. And maybe that's a really quick switch for you. So we want to isolate that trouble spot. We're going to go way back, and we're going to practice just silent switching with E minor and C. And then we're going to do the chord switching game. 1, switch, switch, switch. 1, switch, switch, switch. You know, and we go through the steps of the chord switching game, and we do all that. We're isolating that one treble spot, and then we're going to try to incorporate it into the song. We're going to back up a little bit. Yorick B picks up the rice in the church where a wedding has been. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, and we see if we can incorporate that. You know, we're isolating that treble spot, and then we're trying to incorporate it. And that's what the I stands for. You know, that's the real stuff you're practicing. It could be related to your strumming, to counting. I'm having trouble tapping my foot. 1, 2, 3, and you work on tapping your foot as you do some downstrokes. You know, if you go back to day 1, you'll see that we started at the very beginning. You know, so all the steps, just one little bit at a time, are all there, right? There's no big leaps forward. If you find yourself in a position where it's too much, you just go back a few days to find one of the predecessors to that step. You know, like if tapping your foot with the song is too much, try tapping your foot just while counting. Finally, the R in stare stands for record your progress. And I don't mean to like use a sound recorder. That's a good thing too, to like record yourself playing and listen and critique it. But what I mean here is to just write everything down. I keep a practice journal. It's evolved over the years, the way that I keep my journal. But when I was getting started, it would say things like practice switching from E minor to C, did the chord switching game, practiced strumming and counting, you know, and I would just write down where I was at that day. And then the next day or a couple days later, when I went to go practice again, I'd be able to look at what I just practiced and pick up right where I left off. I wouldn't be wondering, what should I practice now? And sometimes you don't feel like doing the thing that you were just practicing. Just go to the previous day, go to the day before that, and look at it until you find something that you were practicing that you're into. You know, some days I don't feel like, you know, I'll play some country lick, and it's like, you know what, I don't feel like playing that country lick today. I'll do something else. So I just go back through my practice book till I find something I feel like doing. It's a really easy way to keep moving forward in a big way and see all the progress you've made. It's so motivating when you have a practice book that's like half full and you think, I did all that. So recording your progress is actually a really critical step. And when it comes to, you know, years down the road, as you keep getting better and better on guitar, that's going to be one of the more valuable tools that you have at your disposal. So let's just go through the steps one more time. We set our big goals. You know, we dream, we tune our guitar, we activate our fingers, we isolate the treble spots, and we practice the nitty-gritty bits that we really need to practice. And then we record all that. We write down what we were doing, and the next day we go through that all again. Do that 10 or 15 minutes a day. As far as like how my practice would be broken down, you know, at this stage of the game, I would maybe spend 5 minutes working on my chord shapes, a few minutes working on strumming and counting. You could just mute the strings, work on tapping your foot, you know, 5 minutes doing that, and then 5-10 minutes playing songs and trying to apply all that to the songs. That's a great formula, you know. As you advance further and further, you could divide it up like into technique, ear training, and songs or whatever. But I always like to have songs be part of my practice because that's the fun part, you know. So make sure that that's in there as like a nice grand finale to keep you motivated. Otherwise, that's all I wanted to talk to for today, and that kind of sums up this whole week. Next week, starting tomorrow, we're going to be incorporating upstrokes into our strumming, and we're going to be subdividing the counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and we're going to learn like 3 or 4 songs, a melody. You know, we have a lot of stuff that we're going to be covering next week, a few new chord shapes, and we're going to be applying it all to those songs. So please don't forget to subscribe and like the video, hit the bell icon, do all the stuff that YouTube makes you do so that you know about those lessons when they come out. Don't forget to grab your free copy of the ebook and to check out my beginner's course if you want to supercharge your journey. Otherwise, have a fun time practicing, and I'll see you tomorrow.